One day in 2022, I arrived in my office and began looking at my server logs. It was an action that I do about once a week. I'd start by looking at servers, then drift through Amazon Web Services and make sure that there was nothing unordinary going on. All seemed quiet. Then I started looking through my AWS usage and saw that there were terabytes of data going in and out of a tiny server that just had one job: customizations. It was connected to a Shopify instance where customers would be able to shop for product and then add a customization like a logo or initials or a name to a product, like a shirt, and be able to check out. This server would normally just use maybe 50 to 100 megabytes in the course of a month and only cost about $50 to operate. However, when I looked on it this day, it was costing thousands of dollars per month to operate with terabytes of data going in and out of the server in a single day. I'm going to tell you what happened, why this server's security was being overlooked, and what we did to remedy the problem without breaking the bank. And I'm going to tell you what small yet mighty team we used to help navigate this process. As I sat there wondering about what to do, some options came to mind. I could just rebuild the server. But there's a problem. This server was being managed by a large marketing firm, a firm that for many people in e-commerce, they would recognize the name of this company. So I'm not going to mention it here. They had helped us build this server, build this integration from Shopify to this customization so that our team would know how to customize the product when it went through the product line, when it went through packing and shipping and customization. I knew they were going to be slow in reacting. That's what I had experienced with them in the past. So this probably wasn't going to be an option, and customers would be left in the lurch for at least some period of time without getting customizations on their orders. The marketing firm was not cheap. The other option I had was to write my own integration from scratch. I'd done this before, but the problem was delivering my own solution for this server problem could be done, but maybe not quick enough to satisfy the needs of the company. We would need the marketing firm to help deploy the customization solution in Shopify. As I sat there in somewhat a state of desperation, I didn't have any number to call. We weren't using any external MSP, managed service provider, to handle security incidents. And this is the first time something like this had popped up on my radar as IT director. So I was beginning to sweat a little bit. But then I remembered a name. I remembered the name Rudy. A friend of mine, Larry, had passed on that name and told me that Rudy was starting an IT security company and that he was really sharp and had a great team. I had nothing to lose, nowhere else to go. I could contact local managed service providers, but I knew that they were going to be expensive. So I wanted to find somebody I could reach out to that would at least give me the lay of the land and help me to solve this problem without breaking the bank. So I threw an email out to Larry asking him to confirm Rudy's contact information, which he did promptly. Though I don't recall exactly what my email read when I sent it to Rudy, it probably was something like this. Hey, Rudy, Larry gave me your name. We have a compromised AWS server, and I need help navigating this. Very quickly, I received a response. Let's connect. The hunt is on. Rudy and Chrissy joined me on a call. Combined, on that call, there was 30 years experience in cybersecurity for the military. Zero from me, but about 15 years experience or more from each of them. In no time, it was determined that the server was running an old version of PHP, and the fix would be to upgrade PHP and install an EDR. An EDR is an endpoint detection and response tool, which monitors everything on the computer, everything that's going on to make sure that there's nothing suspicious, no suspicious activity happening. And if a tool had been installed on this server previously, we probably would have noticed this activity right off the bat. So who was this company in cybersecurity that hopped on a call with little old me to help me walk through and navigate this problem? I'll get to that in a little bit. But let's get back to the PHP server. PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Processor. Now you might think that's kind of a weird name, and it kind of is. It's called a reverse recursive or anti-acronym or reverse anti-acronym. So if you're confused, don't worry about it. So are many people who occasionally come across these kinds of acronyms. Another one is GNU. GNU means GNU, not Unix. So these kinds of acronyms pop up every once in a while. However, let's just focus on the fact that PHP is a programming language that's used on web server environments. In fact, if you are running a WordPress server, you are running PHP. I've stopped using WordPress because of PHP vulnerabilities, but that didn't stop the coders from this large marketing firm from using PHP to program this server for customizations. So what was happening on the server? Well, it had started out as just being a customization server. A request would come in for a customization and a graphic would be returned. And normally that would be anywhere from 50 to 100 megabytes in a month, not very much. But all of a sudden, this server was being used as a proxy. Now, what's a proxy? A proxy is a server that's masking traffic in some fashion. So it'd be like telling Jim to tell Bob to tell Conrad that you aren't coming over for dinner. Then Conrad tells Bob that tells Jim that, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. So this extra loops in this conversation are proxy servers going back and forth and carrying some sort of traffic. In this case, however, the proxy server was racking up a huge AWS bill. It wasn't determined how exactly the proxy server was being used. I could have consulted with this company even further to have them do that. But what would be the point? We determined that we weren't leaking any sensitive company data, and it would just rack up a bill. But I can tell you this: the server was probably not being used ethically. Now, the solution of upgrading the EDR, which is endpoint detection and response, to get that proactively running on the server so we would know if something like this happened again in the future proactively, and the process of updating the code, maybe standing up a new server, all of this sounded very expensive to me, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I had not built this server, so I definitely needed help at a high hourly rate of this marketing firm's team. So I reached out to them because I didn't have many other options. The marketing team pulled their coders and their security people into a call with me. They told me, sorry, we can't upgrade the PHP to fix it. The code wouldn't be compatible. In fact, we would have to start from scratch, rebuilding this tool from scratch and stand up a new server. All of this was going to cost thousands of dollars. Basically, I had a large marketing firm admitting that their coders were using antiquated versions of PHP and didn't have any options without rewriting the code. This is troubling. So here's what I did. I ended up taking 2 days and rewriting my own low-code solution with some automation tools and something called Azure Logic Apps. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry about it. But I was able to code everything that was happening on this server without actually using a server. It's kind of like what they call a serverless environment. Once tested, I turned that $50 a month bill, not including the thousands of dollars in proxy traffic, I turned that down to $10 a month. And it was a new solution that was going to be highly secure. So who was the company that helped me dig out of this mess? Legend Has It. Now utilizing Legend Has It, we did a level up on our security stance. We used their endpoint detection and response, EDR tools, and protected the most sensitive company computers, servers, and firewalls. We covered the critical aspects of the business, from finance to C-suite to IT to servers to email systems. You might be listening and thinking, but my company isn't that big. Size doesn't matter with Legend Has It. I've seen them serve companies down to 3 people in an organization, and I bet they even serve just one. In fact, they did just that with me when I was having an issue with my very own Office 365 environment. Just one user, it was me, and they came in and helped me on that system. So I know that no matter the size of the company, they can help. In addition, Legend Has It didn't hit us with some huge incident response bill. In fact, they chalked it up to onboarding us as a customer. What makes Legend Has It and their EDR so good? One, they're operating a full SOC, Security Operations Center. That means a technician might be sitting and observing what's going on across the entire platform, the entire EDR suite that's out there on different devices, and see a blinky light. And that blinky light says, hey, there's something wrong. Let's go fix this. And then they're able to stop that attack, stop that event, and notify the customer very quickly so that the customer is protected the best way possible. In many cases, They stop these events proactively and just have to inform via an email or something to the IT staff. Boom, done. We would have been on top of that server issue much faster and probably had zero downtime. Legend has it is professional. They are affordable. They will help your company get ahead of security issues. Now, have you ever wondered, is my laptop hacked? Has my computer or my company been breached? There are people with the skills that help you detect these threat actors that you will be completely unaware of until you turn the lights on. It's like all of this stuff is happening in the darkness of ones and zeros, and you can't even see it until you have a tool like an EDR tool installed on a device that gives visibility to a team that is ready to respond to these. What kind of questions keep you awake at night? Why not get ahead of that and embrace a team like Legend has it? Now, I realize that this really sounds like a commercial right now, and it kind of is. I'm going to be honest. That server event could have cost thousands of dollars more than it did if I had contacted one of the other local MSPs in our area and engaged in their security team as a 911 incident. This is emergency. Let's get this thing taken care of. And all of a sudden, the bills go up. Legend has a model that is built for efficiency and scale. By the way, if you do check them out, legendhasit.io, be sure to tell them that Dana at ITpath said hi. With Rudy and the incredible team at Legend Has It, the hunt is on and won't be over until the threat is stopped.